Hey everyone, Dr. Mike here. I love this stuff. This whole series got started because I did a talk to Leadership Beatrice on success. And so we've talked about this success thing, like doing what you love for as many other people as you can, and someday being able to look back and see the changes in people's lives and maybe your life too, we said was the equation for success. And then we talked about one day, hey, that passion for what to do plus gratitude plus expectation equals success each day. And so we've been given these steps, but then we got into gratitude and how do we fire off gratitude? And we talked about this prefrontal cortex of the brain. Then we got to talking about how there's three ways really to stimulate the part of the brain where we feel gratitude. It just happens to also be the part of the brain where we fire off a bunch of other things too, we'll talk about here in a second. So 2 weeks ago, we talked about a gratitude practice and neurons that fire together, wired together, if you remember that. And so the more you do it, the more your brain's looking for things to be thankful for, the more good chemistry you kick off. Last week, we talked about how to do it from a chemical basis, and is basically how not to screw it up. Remember, we talked about those top 10 inflammatory foods. Inflammatory foods irritate the brain. They stop us from firing that front part. But the third one we want to talk about today, and this is my favorite, is like, how do we physically fire off the front part of the brain? And it's all about movement. So there's going to be 2 points. I want to talk about muscle protein half-life and then Hilton's Law. So let's take muscle protein half-life first, meaning your muscles, no matter where they are in their body, whether they're your legs, whether they're a shoulder, whatever, your muscles have to be tested under tension. They have to be worked out, because if they're not, within 10 to 14 days, you lose half of the protein or half of the strength in that muscle. So literally, you've got to work your muscles on a regular basis. I'm going to tell you to do it every day, and you'll see why here in a second. The second thing is, Hilton's Law says that parts of the brain stimulate parts of the nerves that go to each one of your joints, and then those joints talk back to the brain. Easier said, if, say, this elbow won't bend anymore, you're going to lose the connections in the brain that were stimulated by this elbow bending, because there's nerves and there's reflexes in there that need to generate energy in the brain. The crazy thing is, you've got, say, 100 receptors in your elbow. In each area of your spine, you've got thousands. Okay, so different joints affect the brain in different ways, but they all affect it. The lesson is this: we have to have full range of motion in all of our joints, in our ankles, in our knees, our hips, our spine most importantly, because when your spine is running right, when it's balanced and you do exercise, it stimulates the back part that makes that connection to the front part. If anything's locked up, we lose those connections. The research was super clear. Within 2 to 4 weeks, you lose the connections. Well, if we lose the connections, then we lose our coordination and movement control. We've talked about this. Our pain processing, how we plan our day, our task initiation. I call that our give a crap meter. It goes way down. Our emotions, this is where we talk about gratitude. Impulse control is in that part of the brain. Your neuroendocrine, which is hormones. Inflammation levels, we've talked huge last week about inflammation levels. Autonomic nervous system is the organ part. Your empathy, how you handle and treat other people, and then your immune system. Long story short, the more you move and the more mobility and balance in each one of your joints that your body has, the more you're going to fire off the front part of that brain, the better you're going to feel, the more energy you're going to have, and the more successful you're going to be in life. We love you guys. Next week, we're going to talk about expectations and how your expectations form what you're going to realize in life. We love you. We'll talk to you next week.